She doesn't care what you do for her. That's the brutal truth most men never want to hear. You can give her your time, your money, your loyalty. You can plan the trips, buy the flowers, cover every bill. You can even bend yourself out of shape trying to keep her happy and still hear the most painful words a woman can say, "I just don't feel it anymore." And that's where so many men break, because they've been told since day one that effort equals loyalty, that if you give more, she'll stay. But here's the reality. Women aren't loyal to what you do. They're loyal to how they feel when they're with you. Let that sink in. It's not the flowers, it's not the vacations, it's not the long list of sacrifices, it's the energy behind it. Is it calm confidence, or is it fear that she'll leave? Because women feel the difference instantly, and they respond to the energy, not the gesture. This video is going to expose the one thing women are truly loyal to, and why so many men sabotage themselves, chasing approval instead of respect. We'll break down the traps most men fall into, the psychology behind her shifting emotions, and how to lead in a way that naturally creates loyalty. By the end, you'll see why trying harder fails and why standing firm wins. Let's get into it. Number 1. Effort doesn't equal loyalty. Most men grow up believing a dangerous lie, that the harder you try, the more loyal she will be. Work longer hours to pay for the vacation, buy her the nicer car, bend your schedule so she never feels disappointed and she'll stay forever. But here's the truth. Effort doesn't equal loyalty. You can do everything right and still lose her. Look at John, 52, a sales manager in Chicago. After his divorce, he swore his next relationship would be different. When he met Emily, 48, he went all in. He bought her flowers every week, planned expensive weekend trips, and even paid off some of her lingering debts. Friends told him he was being too generous, but he brushed it off. He believed love was about sacrifice. 2 years later, Emily told him the words no man wants to hear, "I don't feel it anymore." John was crushed. How could she say that after everything he'd done? The problem wasn't his effort. It was the energy behind it. His gestures weren't rooted in calm confidence. They came from fear of losing her, fear of not being enough. And women feel that fear instantly. Here's the psychology behind it. Attraction isn't a transaction. You don't buy loyalty with gifts or time. You inspire loyalty through presence. A woman is loyal to how she feels in your presence, not the receipts of your effort. If she feels your strength, she stays. If she feels your desperation, she leaves. That's why some men barely lift a finger and women cling to them, while others give everything and still get left. It's not the action itself, it's the frame behind it. When John bought flowers, they didn't feel like a gift. They felt like insurance. Emily could sense it wasn't about joy. It was about keeping her from slipping away. And this is where so many men get trapped. They confuse activity with impact. They believe movement equals progress. But if the movement is fueled by insecurity, it erodes attraction instead of building it. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." The same applies here. If your effort is not grounded in strength, it's not truly effort, it's performance. And performance breeds resentment, not loyalty. So what's the solution? Stop trying to earn her loyalty with gestures. Start living in a way that naturally commands it. That means setting boundaries, investing in your purpose, and letting your actions come from abundance, not fear. When you take her out, it's because you want to share the moment, not because you're terrified she'll drift away if you don't. John eventually learned this the hard way. After his breakup, he focused on himself, his health, his career, his friendships. When he began dating again, he didn't shower the new woman in his life with endless gifts. He showed up as himself, steady and confident. And this time, loyalty followed naturally. The lesson is simple but hard to swallow. Women don't stay because of what you do. They stay because of who you are when you do it. Comment: I choose strength. And don't go anywhere, because if effort alone doesn't guarantee loyalty, the next thing we'll cover explains what women really respond to and why your energy speaks louder than any action ever could. Number 2. She feels energy, not actions. Here's the truth most men miss. Women don't respond to what you do. They respond to the energy behind it. You can bring her roses, take her to dinner, buy her a gift, and she might smile politely, but what really imprints on her is the vibe you carry while doing it. Two men can give the exact same gesture, yet get opposite results. One man gives flowers from a place of calm confidence. He enjoys sharing something beautiful without needing anything back. The other man gives flowers from fear, hoping it will stop her from pulling away. She can feel the difference instantly. To her, the flowers aren't flowers anymore. One feels like presence, the other feels like pressure. This is why so many men burn out. They do more, they push harder, they bend further, but their energy is soaked in neediness. And neediness never inspires loyalty, it suffocates it. Think about it in terms of psychology. Human beings are wired to pick up micro signals: tone, posture, timing. Even the pause between words, they all broadcast your state. A woman doesn't consciously analyze every detail. She feels it. If your energy is centered, she relaxes. If your energy is frantic, she distances herself. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's the key. You can't control how she interprets your actions, but you can control the energy you bring into them. If you act from strength, your gestures carry weight. If you act from fear, they crumble before they even land. Here's a simple example. Imagine holding her hand. If your grip is steady, relaxed, it communicates certainty. If your grip is tense, clinging, it communicates desperation. Same action, different energy, completely different impact. And this goes far beyond romance. In leadership, in business, in friendships, the energy you bring is always louder than the action itself. Women, in particular, are hypersensitive to that energy because their attraction is tied not to logic but to emotion. This is why some men can do very little, and yet women stay fascinated. They radiate calm assurance. Their gestures are minimal, but their energy is magnetic. On the other hand, men who over-deliver often end up resented because their energy screams insecurity. So what should you do? Focus less on the checklist of actions and more on your state of being. Ground yourself before you act. Don't text because you're scared she's drifting away. Text because you actually have something you want to share. Don't plan a night out because you're terrified of her losing interest. Plan it because you want to enjoy the experience together. This shift changes everything. Suddenly, she feels you're not performing, you're being. And being is what inspires respect and loyalty. The paradox is that when you stop trying to force loyalty with action and instead embody presence through energy, loyalty shows up on its own. So remember this: she might see your actions, but she feels your energy. And what she feels always outweighs what she sees. Comment: I radiate strength. And stay tuned, because if energy matters more than actions, then you need to understand the biggest poison to that energy: neediness. And that's exactly what we're breaking down next. Number 3. Neediness kills attraction. If there's one thing guaranteed to drain a woman's desire, it's neediness. Nothing turns attraction into obligation faster than a man who constantly seeks reassurance, validation, and proof that she's still his. And here's the cold truth: the more you chase her approval, the more she pulls away. Let's bring this to life with a story. Mike, 50, is a financial advisor in Phoenix. He started dating Sarah, 47, after his divorce. At first, things were effortless. She admired his confidence, his focus on his work, his ability to carry himself without hesitation. But as the relationship deepened, Mike began to slip into old habits. He texted constantly, asking if she was okay, if she was still happy, if she still cared. He showered her with gifts, not out of joy, but out of fear she'd lose interest. At first, Sarah reassured him, but over time, she admitted something. It wasn't the gifts that pushed her away, it was the energy behind them. She said, "It felt like every gesture came with a string attached, like I had to prove something back." What Mike thought was love came across as pressure. That's the essence of neediness. It smothers attraction because it makes her feel trapped instead of free. Love thrives in freedom. The moment it feels like a contract, I did this, so you owe me that, the spark begins to die. Psychology explains this well. When someone behaves from neediness, they project scarcity. They broadcast, "I don't believe I'm enough on my own, so I need you to fill the gap." Women sense this instantly, and it creates resistance. No woman wants to be a man's source of self-worth. She wants to add to his life, not complete it. And here's the paradox. The less you need her, the more she wants to give. When you stand steady in your own life, your work, your purpose, your standards, she feels free to lean in. But when you cling, she feels the weight of responsibility, and desire turns into resentment. Marcus Aurelius put it clearly. Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. That's the cure for neediness. A man grounded in himself doesn't chase constant reassurance because he already knows his value. His happiness isn't outsourced to her moods, and that independence is deeply attractive. Back to Mike's story. After Sarah ended things, he was forced to reflect. He realized he had been trying to buy loyalty with constant attention. When he shifted his focus back to his own growth training again, reconnecting with his friends, finding passion in his work, he noticed something. Women responded differently. They felt his energy shift. He wasn't chasing approval anymore. He was radiating confidence. That's the lesson. Neediness doesn't just kill attraction, it guarantees rejection. But strength, independence, and self-respect create an environment where loyalty can grow naturally. So here's your takeaway. Stop asking her to reassure you. Stop trying to buy her attention with over-the-top gestures. Instead, invest in yourself. Build your life so solid that whether she stays or goes, you remain whole. That's the energy that draws her closer. Comment, "I am enough." Oh. And keep watching, because if neediness destroys attraction, the next step is understanding why treating love like a transaction only makes it worse. And that's where most men unknowingly sabotage themselves. Number 4. Love dies in transactions. Love is not a business deal, but too many men treat it like one. They think if they invest enough money, time, attention, they'll get loyalty in return. "I did this for you, so you owe me." That's the unspoken contract many men carry into relationships. And contracts don't create attraction, they strangle it. Think about it. The moment love turns into a ledger, it stops being love. Every gift, every gesture, every favor starts to feel heavy, not because of the act itself, but because of the expectation attached. She doesn't feel cared for, she feels indebted. And nothing kills desire faster than feeling like you're in someone's debt. This is the difference between giving from strength and giving from fear. When a man gives freely, without keeping score, it radiates abundance. It says, "I'm full already, and I want to share that fullness." When a man gives to secure loyalty, it radiates scarcity. It says, "I'm empty, and I need you to fill me up." Same action, completely different energy. Psychology calls this transactional love. It reduces intimacy to exchange. But attraction doesn't work that way. Women aren't inspired by bargains, they're inspired by feelings. The second your love feels like a contract, she subconsciously resists. Marcus Aurelius said, "What we do now echoes in eternity." Len. If every act in your relationship echoes obligation instead of freedom, the echo is resentment, not loyalty. Here's a simple example. Imagine buying her dinner. If you do it from joy, the moment is light, effortless. She enjoys the food, the laughter, the presence. If you do it with the silent expectation of sex later, she feels it instantly. The dinner isn't generosity, it's currency. That tension suffocates attraction. And here's the paradox. The more transactional your love becomes, the less you actually receive, because no one desires what feels forced. Women want to give when they choose to, not when they feel compelled to. Loyalty is born in freedom, not in contracts. This is why some relationships last decades while others burn out fast. In the strong ones, love flows without a ledger. Each partner gives because they want to, not because they have to. That freedom creates space for desire to thrive. So what's the fix? Stop treating love like an investment expecting ROI. Give because you mean it. Share because it's who you are, not because you're afraid she'll leave if you don't. Detach the gesture from the outcome. When you release expectation, your presence feels lighter, freer, more magnetic. And this doesn't mean you allow disrespect or tolerate imbalance. Boundaries matter, but boundaries aren't the same as transactions. A boundary says, this is who I am, and this is what I accept. A transaction says, I did this, now you owe me. One breeds respect, the other kills desire. Here's the bottom line. Love can't survive in contracts. The more you try to buy her loyalty, the more she feels trapped. But when you give freely from strength, she feels safe, respected, and free to give back. That's when loyalty actually grows. Comment, I give freely. And keep watching, because if love dies in transactions, then what keeps it alive? It's respect. And respect, more than any gift or sacrifice, is what actually makes loyalty last. Number 5. Respect builds loyalty. If you want loyalty, forget the gifts, the grand gestures, the desperate attempts to impress. None of those last. What truly keeps a woman committed is respect. Because loyalty doesn't come from obligation, it comes from admiration. And admiration is born when she respects the man she's with. Take Robert, 55, a business owner from Dallas. For years, he tried to hold his marriage together by being the nice guy. Whenever conflict came up, he backed down quickly, thinking it would keep the peace. He said yes to everything his wife wanted, even when it meant sacrificing his own values. On the surface, it looked like he was doing the right thing. But over time, his wife's respect began to fade. She didn't see him as a leader anymore. She saw him as someone afraid to stand up for himself. Eventually, that lack of respect eroded her attraction and her loyalty. Fast forward a few years, Robert remarried, but this time he did things differently. He set clear standards for himself. He spoke up when something didn't feel right. He wasn't aggressive, but he was firm, and something shifted. His new wife didn't just love him, she admired him. She respected his boundaries, his decisiveness, his ability to lead. And because she respected him, loyalty followed naturally. This is the critical point. Women may be drawn to charm, looks, or even generosity at first, but what keeps them is respect. Without it, attraction fades. With it, loyalty deepens. From a psychological standpoint, respect signals strength and consistency. A man who holds his ground, who knows what he stands for, creates a sense of safety. Women want to know that the man beside them won't crumble under pressure, won't betray his values just to please. That steadiness earns respect, and respect is the soil where loyalty grows. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." That's the essence of respect. You don't demand it, you live in a way that commands it. By embodying your standards, by leading with calm conviction, you make respect inevitable. Notice how this works in everyday situations. Imagine a man who always apologizes, even when he's done nothing wrong. At first, it might seem kind, but over time, it signals weakness. Now imagine a man who listens, considers, and speaks his truth respectfully. That man earns admiration. His presence feels solid, dependable, and a woman will always stay more loyal to the second man than the first. Robert's story proves it. His first marriage failed not because he didn't try, but because he tried in the wrong way. He tried to buy loyalty with submission. His second marriage thrived because he shifted his focus from pleasing to leading. That change earned him the one thing gifts and effort never could: respect. So here's your takeaway. If you want loyalty, stop asking, "What do I need to do for her?" Start asking, "Am I living in a way that earns respect?" Because loyalty is not about effort, it's about how she sees you when you stand firm. Comment, "I earn respect." And keep watching, because if respect builds loyalty, the next step is understanding why standards make you magnetic and how having them transforms the entire dynamic of attraction. Number 6. Standards make you magnetic. If respect is the soil where loyalty grows, then standards are the roots that make it strong. Without standards, a man becomes weak, reactive, and easily swayed. With them, he becomes magnetic. Women may be attracted to charm or confidence at first, but it's a man's standards, what he will and won't accept, that keep her attention long term. Here's why. Standards communicate self-respect without a single word. When you enforce them, you're saying, "I know my worth, and I won't compromise it." That certainty is rare, and it's irresistible, because women aren't loyal to men who bend. At every request, they're loyal to men who stand firm in who they are. Think about it this way. A man without standards is like a house with no foundation. At first, it might look fine, but the moment pressure comes, a disagreement, a test, a moment of temptation, it crumbles. A man with standards, on the other hand, stands solid. He may bend slightly with the wind, but he never breaks. And that strength builds trust, which naturally deepens loyalty. Psychology confirms this. People, not just women, are drawn to certainty. When you know what you value and live by it, others can relax around you. They don't have to guess who you are or wonder if you'll flip under pressure. Your standards create stability, and stability is attractive. Marcus Aurelius captured it perfectly when he wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." That's exactly what standards are: your estimate of what's acceptable in your life. You decide what belongs and what doesn't, and when you live by those choices, you radiate control. Now, some men fear that having standards will push women away. They worry, "What if she doesn't like it when I say no?" But here's the paradox. Women may resist in the moment, but deep down, they respect it. Because a man with no standards is easy to manipulate, and no one admires what they can manipulate. Boundaries create desire because they create respect. Think about simple examples. If you always cancel your plans to fit her schedule, at first she may feel flattered, but over time she loses respect because it signals you have nothing of your own worth protecting. If you calmly say, "I already have something scheduled, but I'll see you after," she may resist at first, but her respect grows. That respect fuels attraction, and attraction fuels loyalty. Standards don't mean being cold or rigid. They mean knowing who you are and refusing to betray yourself for approval. They mean protecting your time, your values, and your peace. And ironically, that strength creates the freedom for love to flourish. The truth is, women are loyal to how they feel around you. And when you hold strong standards, she feels safe, secure, and challenged in the best way. You're not just another man trying to please her, you're a man she can look up to. That admiration is the foundation of loyalty. So here's the takeaway. Don't just want respect, command it by living with standards. Know what you value, Protect it and never apologize for it, because a man with standards doesn't chase loyalty. It comes to him naturally. Comment, I hold standards. And keep watching, because if standards make you magnetic, the next step is understanding why pleasing weakens you, but leading attracts her every time. Number 7. Pleasing weakens, leading attracts. There's a hard truth many men discover too late. The more you try to please her, the less she respects you. Pleasing feels safe. You think if you agree, if you comply, if you always say yes, she'll feel loved. But in reality, pleasing weakens you. It signals fear. And women are never loyal to fear. They're loyal to strength. That's why leading attracts in a way pleasing never can. Take Daniel, 53, from San Diego. After his first marriage ended, he promised himself he'd never argue with a woman again. When he started dating Rachel, 49, he made it his mission to avoid conflict. If she wanted Italian for dinner, he agreed. If she wanted to cancel plans last minute, he adjusted. If she pushed a boundary, he let it slide. On the surface, it looked like harmony. But beneath it, attraction was dying. Rachel later admitted that Daniel felt more like a roommate than a man she admired. His need to please made him predictable, soft, and worst of all, forgettable. Then comes the shift. After their breakup, Daniel worked on himself. He realized avoiding conflict wasn't strength. It was weakness disguised as kindness. The next time he entered a relationship, he tried a new approach. He led, he made plans, voiced his opinions, and calmly enforced his boundaries. He wasn't rude, he was decisive. And women responded differently. Rachel may have walked away, but the women who came after leaned in. They felt his leadership, and that leadership made him magnetic. Here's why this works. Pleasing is reactive. It's waiting to see what she wants, then bending yourself to fit it. Leading is proactive. It's saying, this is who I am, this is where I'm going, join me if you want. One drains respect, the other earns it. From a psychological perspective, pleasing signals insecurity. It tells her you don't trust your own judgment, so you outsource decisions to her. That doesn't create safety, it creates pressure. She doesn't want to carry the weight of leading, she wants to relax into your leadership. Marcus Aurelius said, "A man's worth is no greater than the ambitions he sets for himself. If your only ambition is to keep her happy at any cost, you shrink in her eyes. But if your ambition is to lead a strong life with vision, direction, and standards, she naturally follows. Not because she has to, but because she wants to." Think about how this plays out in everyday life. If you ask, "Where do you want to go for dinner?" every single time, she gets bored. If you say, "We're trying this new steakhouse tonight, I made the reservation," she feels excited. Your decisiveness removes the burden of choice and makes her feel taken care of. That's leadership. Daniel's story is the perfect proof. In his first relationship, he thought avoiding tension would keep her. In reality, it drained her attraction until nothing was left. In his second, he stopped being the pleaser and became the leader. The result? Women admired him, respected him, and wanted to stay close. So here's the bottom line. Pleasing weakens because it's rooted in fear. Leading attracts because it's rooted in strength. Women don't stay loyal to the man who bends, they stay loyal to the man who stands. Comment, I lead strong. And keep watching, because if leadership pulls her in, the next step is understanding why women follow strength, not fear, and how that difference defines true loyalty. Number 8. Women follow strength, not fear. If you want to understand why some men effortlessly hold a woman's loyalty while others watch it slip through their fingers, the answer is simple. Women follow strength, not fear. Fear repels, strength attracts. And it's not about muscles, money, or status. It's about the energy you bring into the relationship. Think about how fear shows up. Fear is the man who constantly asks, "Are you mad at me?" Fear is the man who avoids conflict, who won't speak his truth because he's scared she'll leave. Fear is the man who tries to control her, checking her phone, questioning her friends because he doesn't trust his own ability to keep her through presence alone. And the irony is this: the more he clings from fear, the faster she slips away. Now, strength looks very different. Strength is calm. It doesn't mean being loud or domineering. It means being steady when emotions rise, being decisive when chaos hits, being clear when things feel uncertain. Strength is the energy of a man who says, "I can handle myself, I can handle this moment, and I don't need to control you to feel secure." That's the kind of man women naturally trust, respect, and want to follow. Marcus Aurelius said it perfectly: "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's the Stoic foundation. True strength isn't controlling her, it's controlling yourself. The man who masters his own mind becomes unshakable, and women feel safe with the unshakable. Here's the psychology behind it. Fear-based behavior projects scarcity. It tells her, "I'm not enough, so I need to hold on tight to you." Strength-based behavior projects abundance. It says, "I am whole on my own, and I choose to share that with you." One makes her feel trapped, the other makes her feel free. And women are drawn to freedom, not to cages. You can see this in small, everyday details. When a man reacts from fear, he overcompensates, arguing, begging, apologizing too much, or trying to smother her with affection. When a man acts from strength, he stays calm. If she's upset, he listens, he considers, and he responds with clarity. That calm steadiness shifts her entire emotional state. Suddenly, she feels safe to relax, because she senses he won't collapse under pressure. This is why strength is magnetic. It creates polarity. It allows her to lean into her emotions, knowing you can carry your own. Fear collapses polarity because it places the emotional burden on her. She becomes the strong one, and you become the dependent one. That imbalance kills attraction. The paradox is that many men believe fear will protect them. They think controlling her or pleasing her will keep her loyal. In reality, it destroys the very thing they're trying to save. Loyalty is born when she feels respect, and she only respects the man who stands steady in strength. So here's your takeaway. Stop acting from fear. Stop trying to control outcomes. Strength isn't about holding on tighter, it's about standing firm in yourself, no matter what happens. Women don't follow fear, they follow strength. And the man who embodies that truth never has to beg for loyalty, it flows to him naturally. Comment: I choose strength. And stay tuned, because if strength is what women follow, then the next step is understanding the paradox of freedom, and why the tighter you grip loyalty, the faster it slips away. Number 9. The paradox of freedom. Here's one of the strangest truths about women and loyalty. The more you try to hold on, the more you lose. And the more freedom you give, the stronger her loyalty becomes. This is the paradox of freedom. Most men don't believe this. They think loyalty is like sand, you've got to grip it tightly, or it will slip away. But just like sand, the harder you squeeze, the faster it falls through your fingers. Let's look at a real story. James, 56, a retired firefighter from New Jersey, had been with Laura, 52, for several years. He loved her deeply, but he carried a fear from his first marriage, fear that if he gave her too much space, she'd drift away. So he clung. He texted her constantly, wanted to know where she was at all times, and grew suspicious whenever she wanted time alone. His fear felt logical to him, but to Laura, it felt suffocating. The more he tried to keep her close, the further she pulled away. Finally, Laura told him what so many women eventually say: "It feels like I can't breathe." She wasn't asking for distance because she didn't love him. She was asking for space because his fear was crushing her desire. After the breakup, James faced a hard truth. His grip had destroyed the very loyalty he wanted. But here's the twist: months later, when he learned to let go, when he focused on his own life and gave space in new relationships, women responded differently. Instead of running, they leaned in. They wanted to be closer, not because he forced them, but because they chose to. This is the paradox. Freedom fuels loyalty. When a woman feels free to come and go, she chooses to stay. When she feels trapped, she wants to escape. Psychology backs this up. Autonomy is a basic human need. People want to feel like they're choosing their commitments, not being coerced into them. When you give freedom, you communicate abundance. You're saying, "I'm not afraid to lose you because I know my worth." That kind of confidence is magnetic. Marcus Aurelius said it perfectly. He who lives in harmony with himself lives in harmony with the universe. When you're at peace with yourself, you don't need to grip anyone tightly. You allow freedom, and in doing so, you create harmony in the relationship. Think about it in daily life. If you give her the freedom to spend time with her friends without interrogation, she trusts you more. If you encourage her passions instead of resenting them, she respects you more. If you're secure enough to let her breathe, she wants to be closer. Every time you give freedom, you deepen loyalty not by demand, but by choice. James's transformation is proof. His first instinct was to hold tight. It cost him the relationship. But when he learned to relax, to lead his own life with strength and let his partner breathe, loyalty appeared naturally. Laura may have left, but the women who came after stayed because they felt respected and free. The paradox is clear. Loyalty can't be forced. The more you grip, the less you have. The more you release, the more it grows. So here's your takeaway. Don't cling. Don't cage her. Build a life so strong and grounded that you don't need to. Give freedom, and watch how she chooses to give loyalty in return. Comment, "I give freedom." And don't miss what's next, because if freedom builds loyalty, the final piece explains why the one thing women are truly loyal to isn't gifts, effort, or even freedom alone, but the way they feel in your presence. That's the ultimate key. Number 10. Loyalty lives in how she feels. Here's the raw truth. Women are not loyal to what you do. They are loyal to how they feel when they're with you. That's the final key, and the one most men refuse to face. You can spend years giving her effort, planning trips, buying gifts, sacrificing sleep and money, and still watch her walk away. Not because you didn't do enough, but because none of it touched the core of how she felt in your presence. Loyalty isn't logical, it's emotional. Think about it this way. When a woman remembers you, she doesn't recall the exact price of the dinner you paid for. She remembers the feeling of laughing with you across the table. She doesn't remember the hours you worked overtime. She remembers the way you held her, calm and steady, when her world felt chaotic. Her loyalty attaches to the feeling, not the act. That's why two men can do the same thing, yet get opposite results. One buys her flowers with relaxed energy, and she feels cherished. Another buys her flowers with desperation, and she feels trapped. The flowers are the same, the feelings are not. Loyalty grows only where her emotions are nurtured. Psychology explains this well. Human memory is emotional, not transactional. We anchor experiences to the way they made us feel, not to the details. And attraction operates the same way. She may say she values effort, but in reality, she stays because of the emotional climate you create. Marcus Aurelius captured this in timeless words. Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. That's not just philosophy, it's strategy. If you're centered, calm, and whole, she feels it. Your energy transmits safety, passion, and strength. That becomes her emotional reality around you, and that's what she stays loyal to. Let's ground this in real life. Imagine David, 54, from Ohio. He tried to hold his marriage by outworking every problem, more gifts, more dinners, more effort. But his wife confessed that despite all of it, she felt unseen. Why? because his actions were frantic, not grounded. She didn't feel calm with him, she felt his fear. When he finally shifted, slowed down, centered himself, and brought quiet strength into his presence, something changed. His new partner didn't ask for endless effort. She was loyal simply because she felt secure and alive in his presence. Here's the paradox. You can't do your way into loyalty. You have to be your way into it. Loyalty is not the result of constant action. It's the result of consistent presence. So how do you create this? By focusing less on proving and more on embodying. You don't need to perform. You need to ground yourself in strength, in your purpose, in your ability to lead calmly. You need to make her feel the steady certainty that you are enough. When you do that, every interaction shifts. She feels lighter, safer, more drawn in. And notice how freeing this is. You don't need to chase. You don't need to overgive. You don't need to exhaust yourself. All you need is to show up as the strongest version of yourself. Because her loyalty is not tied to your resume of effort. It's tied to the way you make her feel when you're in the room. So here's the ultimate lesson. Stop asking, what else can I do? Start asking, what does she feel when she's with me? Because that's where loyalty lives. Not in the flowers, not in the dinners, not in the sacrifices, but in the emotion your presence creates. And when you live this truth, you never have to fear loyalty slipping away, because you'll finally understand women aren't loyal to effort. They're loyal to the man who makes them feel something they can't walk away from. So here's the truth we've uncovered. Women are not loyal to effort, gifts, or sacrifice. They are loyal to how they feel when they're with you. Every action, every word, every choice either builds that feeling or destroys it. And when you understand this, you stop chasing approval. You stop exhausting yourself trying to buy loyalty. Instead, you build presence, strength, and respect the things that naturally inspire it. If you found value in today's video, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Every day we're breaking down female psychology, Stoic wisdom, and the strategies that help you lead with confidence and live as the man women respect and desire. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.